So we have to respect everyone's time, and we have an athlete on the panel. And I know he has some traveling to do, and I definitely want to respect your time, Elijah. So, hey everybody, my name is Aisha Malone. I am a fifth grade ELA teacher. I teach fifth grade at Wrightwood Elementary Charter School, and now I am a current entrepreneur. I am the owner and co-founder of Rose Cafe. Rose Cafe is a cafe that we're trying to bring into my community to decrease the literacy, well, to increase the access to literacy. We want to provide books in the neighborhood that can help kids in the culture feel good. Things that have affirmations, characters that look like them, written by authors that look like them, so that it can help push the culture forward for what we're trying to do at Rose Cafe. One of our biggest motto at Rose Cafe is books, coffee, and community, and we're heavy on the community. We think if we bring the books, the community can grow.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Silverman. I'm the co-founder and creative director at Rose Cafe. And going along with the community, some of the things that we have done to foster community during this time is we have given out free books around the neighborhood at book drive. We've hosted book clubs, and we've also hosted author talks, which is what brings us here today. So our students are going to introduce themselves, and then we're going to talk to Mr. Wright.
Hello, my name is Talia Ermaselli. I'm a fifth grader at CICS Wrightwood. In school, we've been studying poetry, so I would like to take this time to get deeper into poetry.
Hello, my name is Sharon Johnson. I'm a student at Wrightwood, and one of my favorite subjects is reading.
My name is Elijah Shim. I'm a student at CICS Wrightwood, and I like to play baseball and football. Mr.
Nice,
Wright.
nice. All right, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, I'm sorry for my tardiness. I was definitely trying to locate my headphones, trying to get pretty much just get here for you guys. Man, it is super cool to just be in the space with you guys. I heard a bunch of you say your favorite subject is reading, and then one said I know they want to jump into poetry. So this is pretty cool. Elijah, Jared, and Ebba. Nice to meet you guys for sure.
And Mr. Wright, if you could introduce yourself and talk about why we're here today.
Sure. My name is Quentin Wright. I'm the author of Eclectic Dreams. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in Gwendolyn Brooks. Man, you guys remind me pretty much of my students, which is super cool. Man, like I wrote the book honestly, really to not leave it up to anybody else to write my story, if that made sense. So I felt like, we all have the responsibility to write our own stories. So writing Eclectic Dreams started, I want to say, 2010-ish. I had the idea, but to actually make it come to life, it took some years. So it's not always necessarily like when you start, but definitely when you finish, the product is always going to be exactly pretty much how you imagined it, as long as you stick to it. So it came out exactly how I thought it would. A lot of my pieces pretty much are like, how can I put it, a poetic memoir. So they may not all be exactly nonfiction, but pretty much telling pretty much stories abstractly through poetry. So it's pretty much just my unique way of just telling stories.
When we first Okay.
Go ahead, what's your question?
Yeah, sorry. So when we first met Mr. Wright for the audience, we asked him what his target audience was for this book, and he said young Black men. And as educators, we always think about, what is best for our students, and we always have our students in mind. And when he said that, we thought, who better than to do this interview than some smart, intelligent, hardworking young men. So they're going to, from here, they're going to kick it off, and they're going to read some poems that they picked out that were their favorites from your book, and they have some questions for you. So they're gonna
Nice. Let's do it.
So Ebo, you're all up. Oh, and you're muted. Okay.
The meaning of freedom. Waking up with no shackles on my wrist or ankles, no lock around my neck, conscience clear and air flowing free with the windows open, God's favor pouring over my head without asking for a favor, dreams being born with your neighbor or yourself going into labor. This is freedom. Any season, any place, any time in due time. Colorblind indication of blessings that have mass kindness of colorblindness. No tape deck of freedom. We are moving forward. No need to rewind this freedom within our freedoms, passing through needles.
All right. So
when I read it,
with that,
so we have,
when I read
have poems prepared. They have questions prepared for you, Mr. Wright.
Okay.
When I read this poem, it made me think about when we were slaves, we thought about freedom. Now that we have freedom, you can take it from us and we will not willingly give it back. Is this what you wanted the reader to get from this poem?
That is one notion I wanted you to get from it. With the needle reference, I always thought of freedom as kind of like slim to none. It's pretty much like in the eye of the beholder. So I always thought that if you could thread a needle, that's how close it is to really just not being free. It's just that little bitty hole to try to thread a needle. So I always felt like freedom was there, but it was very hard to see. So if you ever seen somebody try to thread a needle, it's super tiny. It's a tiny hole. So I always thought that.
Okay. So I have another question prepared for you. The other question is, why did you compare people to an endangered species?
So I compared people to an endangered species because one of my first poetry assignments as a young boy was to give an inanimate object human characteristics, and also always felt like being a Black man, I was an endangered species. So with that being said, it felt like I had to give myself a title, and that was me as an endangered species, because if you kind of pay attention and know what's going on in the world, it's very few of us. And the narrative is that they're trying to kill us off. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I just felt like we're endangered species. You guys are coming with tough questions, man. Oh my goodness. Miss Malone and Rebecca, you guys, they are amazing.
These are intelligent Black bright boys. We were thought partners with them.
I see.
And they are some of the best in Wrightwood. I've had many encounters with them, and I picked them because I can trust them. They're good. They're good, Mr. Wright. Watch this.
I hope you go to be big and strong. I hope you always think before you react. I hope you give your heart to God. Let the Spirit mold your soul. I hope you follow your dreams and never let anyone tell you cannot do something. Just remember, God got you, and there's no limit to your success. You are limitless in the world that will try to marginalize you. When I read this poem for the first time, I didn't know what marginalized meant. Based on the poem to you, what does marginalized mean?
So marginalized meaning pretty much making something smaller than what it really is. That particular piece was written as a letter to my daughter. I always just pretty much like if any chance of my absence, I always wanted to just have a letter to her to let her know that she can do anything that she puts her mind to, no matter what. The world can always try to make you seem smaller, but at the end of the day, you're as big as you want to be. So I never want anybody to ever try to take that away from her.
Another question that I had was, why is the word soul by itself?
It's big enough to stand on its own. I feel like um a soul is huge. A soul is huge. It doesn't need another sentence. And I did that on purpose, really, to just make it stand out.
Okay, thank you.
They noticed that because right now they are actually studying poetry in Miss Malone's class. So they've been studying the structure of poetry. And so he noticed that word was off by itself.
Oh, okay. Man, you guys are like, you guys decrypted my whole plot.
This too shall pass. I know ups and downs are a part of life. I just choose to focus on the blessings. While most people around me can only see the storm, you may have to be a visionary to have vision, or to have vision, or be bright to have insight. The more one grows, the harder it is to relate in any relationship. Common sense, not so common. Nice is mean. Silence is loud in many ways. The contradiction plays with the mental in many ways for many days. This too shall pass. My question to you is, do you think this is good advice for a fifth grade boy playing sports?
Of course, this piece right here definitely is great advice for somebody playing sports. On the account that, when you're playing sports, you're gonna face adversity. And one thing I know about adversity is that it all comes to pass one day. But the whole point is to just keep persevering. And you say you like to play basketball or baseball
Baseball,
or football. What was you said?
baseball,
Baseball.
baseball and football.
Nice. What's your favorite position playing football?
Wide receiver.
So as a wide receiver, you got one of the toughest jobs. You got to block the cornerbacks, you got to block the safeties, and sometimes you got to block those huge linebackers coming up. And you have the job to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. So, you're not going to catch every pass. You're not going to get every block, but, with hard work and dedication, you'll get majority of them, you know? And even with baseball, what's your favorite position in baseball?
Pitcher.
Pitcher. Oh my goodness. So you already know pitching has the biggest responsibility. So yeah, like that piece right there is perfect because, you know, I mean with adversity comes pain, and pain you just overcome. Just overcome for sure. And one cool fact, I used to play college football, and I played running back. So at the time in college, I ran like a 4.340, and then in the 100 meters, I ran like a 10.5. So all of that is really just hard work, man. Hard work and dedication. And you look pretty fast yourself.
Cute.
Yeah.
For you, did football and you liked poetry at the same time? That was possible for you?
Yeah, I was different. Yeah, I would be the guy come leaving football practice, getting ready for the Java House poetry night, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" "I'm about to go perform poetry." And then like all the guys would get around and like sit and watch. So yeah, it would be crazy, make fun, but at the end, I was just being me, and that's all they could do is accept it. The majority of them, bought my book now, which is crazy, and they remember like, "Yo, remember Q used to do the Java House spoken word?" I'm like, yeah. So they all like taking pictures with my book now on their hikes and everything. So it's pretty cool.
And my second question to you is, I noticed that you used two with one O instead of two with two O's. Was that on purpose?
And in what verse now?
Like at the end, this too shall pass.
And you say you noticed I used what now?
Use one O instead of two O's. Was that on purpose?
I do, honestly, yes. If you look in the beginning of my book, I switch up between honestly with O's and the number two. So the number two, it's almost like a significant thing with God I use. So morning glory to God, I use the number two versus just the one O or the two O's. It's more so of a poetic expression for myself. Like when you start writing poetry, you kind of come up with a method to your own madness. And like once it feels good to you, then it's just like, okay, it feels good for the page. So yeah.
Okay, Mr. Wright, we have these three boys and they wanted to perform a poem together. Like I said in my history class, we are dissecting poetry, talking about the structure, talking about different forms of poetry, slam poetry, doing poetry together, and they wanted to present this to you. And then I have a question that I want to ask regarding this poem.
Okay, let's do it.
Brothers for life. Once upon a time as children, we played games.
Traded basketball cards.
With simple but difficult.
Our lives made sense.
We became close friends.
During a field trip.
You lacked funds.
I paid your way.
Ever since that day, you had my back, and I think of you too.
This day.
My son has your name for his middle name.
Brothers for life, Joseph.
Brothers
Brother
for
for
life.
life.
And so, Mr. Wright, my question isn't hard, but I'm a mentor before I am a teacher, and we have these three kids in front of us, growing in this world. How significant is friendship when it comes to these kids and having that foundation as they grow and to become leaders?
Well, the crazy part about it is that piece right there is so significant. I'm on the block now where I met my best friend Joseph in the actual, was that fourth, fifth grade? I'm on the block now. We made pretty much made up one moment. So Joseph, I met Joseph. We had a field trip. We had a field trip in fifth grade, and he didn't have any funds. And I saw him, and he was just like kind of bummed out, in the middle of a field trip. And I paid his way. I'm like, everything I play, you can play. And from that day forth, that was my best friend. And unfortunately, he was taken away from me when I turned 16. He went to CVS and he went to a party and was gunned down at a party that I was supposed to go to with him. but instead I went to the movies. And friendship is essential to the soul. And it's so essential to the soul that when someone is a true friend, that friendship lives on forever. And it lives on to the point forever to I gave my son his name. So my son's name is Caleb Joseph Wright. And like just the legacy that he left was so huge and it had such a big impact on me. And like when you friends like that, they become everything to you. I'm talking about everything. So like he's really a driving force as to why I even write, because I always felt like um I never had the opportunity to have that question with him, like, hey man, you want to go to college together? You want to, just pretty much just big things in life. You want to be the best man in my wedding. Just stuff that I wish I could have been able to ask him. I didn't have a chance to. And one thing I want you guys to know is that friendship is forever. And I mean that because I'm still friends with people that I've been in kindergarten with, first grade, second grade, third grade. And when I see them, it's almost like we're right back in Miss Grace's first grade class. And we can remember literally when we first became friends and why we became friends. And once you guys remember that, just always hold on to that particular friendship, because the world is going to change as you get older, but friendship should always remain. And that question sparked so much energy because I'm literally on the block where I met him. And I can look down the street at the house where we used to literally trade basketball cards. So this is like super huge to me. I used to go knock on the door and see if he was ready for school, because we would walk to school together every day. And it's just one of those things where the little things become big things. And you want to always be able to just say you guys were friends, man. Like friendship is definitely essential to the soul. I'm gonna leave it at that.
This was really critical for me. These are my babies. I had these kids for a long time, and for them to have this mentorship is very important to me. I don't know, I'm getting emotional, but this is big for the cafe. Like, community and giving back to the young kids and hearing stories so that we can make better decisions so they can know what this is. And I really appreciate that from the bottom. We are running out of time and I'm getting too emotional, but we did want to talk a little bit about Rose Cafe and some of the upcoming things that we have coming up. I'm super excited. We actually organized a march that is again near and dear to what me and Rebecca is doing. We are trying to bring some literacy access into the community. Before they change the community, want to make sure that everybody sees that there is already life over here in 60628. I'm not the only teacher in the community, and I just want to highlight some of the professional and good things that's going on in the neighborhood. We are not marching for anything negative. We just want to march to show life, show peace, equity, alliance, community, and education. So if all our people that are watching us, please store that date. We would love to see you guys march with us. And I'm sure Rebecca want to talk about Mateo.
And just like we're having this talk today, we have a talk coming up next month. Just a little preview. We're going to be reading Black Buck for our book club book next month by Mateo. And we're also going to have Tashay Green on the conversation with us, who is like an Instagram blogger who reads a lot of books, and just to have the conversation with both of them. So we're very excited for that. You can sign up the same way you signed up for this talk on our website. And you can purchase Eclectic Dreams through us. If you go to our Instagram, Rose Café Shy, you can DM us and we can send this book to you. And anything else you can find on our Instagram or our website.
Thank you so much, Q. Fellas, Mr. Shim, Mr. Johnson, do you guys want to say anything to him before we leave?
Yes, I would like to say something. Your words about your friend, it really impacted me because I have a friend on my own, and and I could just imagine if he was just gone like that. So just listening to you talk about your friend, it's just you know really impactful, and that's why people say live your life to the fullest.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Jaren.
You guys are great. We're Q, thank you for doing this with us.
Man, thank you guys. This was a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys having me. Like, I've been under the weather for the past week, and I've been pushing green tea and rest. And this is like my first time outside, and I'm like, I gotta get some air. But you guys have ignited me, and I'm excited to see you guys blossom into the beautiful young man that you guys are. So Elijah, Jaren, seriously, Evo, you guys are amazing. And I want you guys to keep up the great work for sure.
You too.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
You.
Thank